山はお前だ。ダメだ。間に合わん。
Just because you were told not to jump in doesn't mean that you have to not jump in. Deku, he was told that he needed to stay back. He was told to go run with Bakugo. It's like, no. They had a mission. They had something that was right in front of them that they needed to accomplish, that they needed to achieve. And if they weren't going to do that, then they were going to be cowards in the eyes of themselves. Ourselves are the only people that we actually ever really need to make happy. No matter what anybody else thinks, no matter what anybody else does, no matter what anybody else tells us what we need to do, that does not need to be the people that we are actually being. In reality, we have to jump. We have to put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations that may potentially end our life. Deku, Bakugo, like even Endeavor, realize that they can't do it all on their own. It's one man, yes, and he's very, very powerful, and he very well could wipe out the whole city if Eraser was to be taken out in this moment. So having Deku jump in right when he did was, it was surreal, to be honest. It's a feeling that not many people have. When people see something that is not going the correct way, or somebody's in danger, or somebody needs help, most people, they look away. They don't look at the other person because they don't want to be acknowledged as somebody that wasn't willing to help. But if you see somebody that's in need, somebody that's you can help out before anybody else can, I think you need to be that person. I know that you can be that person. I know that I am able to show you how to become that person as well, because it's scary at first, but once you do it more times, it becomes a whole lot easier. Deku, he did this in the very beginning of the series. He ran into the slime when he didn't even have powers to save his friend Bakugo, because he understood, like, it doesn't take powers to be special. It doesn't take powers to be someone completely different. All it really does is it makes it so that you can be who you truly need to be able to help people. I just went and saw Wakanda Forever with my sister, and it was a crazy movie. They had the exact same thing. They were willing to jump into the fray to make sure that their land was protected at any costs. And most people won't put everything on the line. They won't give everything that is required to meet the fruits of their fruits of their labor. Most people, they're just going to give up halfway through before they actually see anything meaningful come through. I guess the big thing is, if you see somebody, if you see something, if you want to try something, just take a leap, take a jump, take a risk, because what's the worst that'll happen? Like, if you're able to just persist in the assumption that what you're doing is the correct way of doing things, eventually your mind's going to come around. Eventually the world is going to come around. Eventually reality is just going to kind of catch up with your assumption that you've been living in. And when you do that, you almost have complete and utter control over every situation that you run into. It's a very strange feeling, but once you have that feeling, you have that understanding, you have the grasp of reality is what we make of it. And Black Panther, they touched on that as well. As the mom, she found peace with T'Challa's death because she was able to see him within his head as if he was still there, where Shuri was like, no, I'm not at peace with my brother's death, like, and she seeked vengeance, and that's what her mind was telling her. It really does just come down to, are we willing to look at it in the positive way or the negative way? The positive light, you're going to have a much brighter future, because there's probably been countless times when you've imagined negative, terrible, god-awful things, and then they eventually come true, maybe not in the exact same degree, but then when it comes to the positivity, when it comes to good things, we don't put as much emphasis on that. I think the same can be applied for bad, for good, for anything that you want to do. It all starts within your own head. Once you understand the concept of your imagination, of picturing, of being present when you're feeling those imaginations as well, eventually they will become true. And mix around with it. Try different things. Try playing around with it. See which one works best for you. Do things that you might not expect to see and or find, and they'll start popping up out of nowhere.